A massive alien warship floated like a shadow above the burning battlefield. Its hull glowed with strange blue lights, a sign of the Empire's power. Inside the warship, in the training bay, a group of alien soldiers gathered. They were the elite, tall, armored, and feared across the stars. And in the middle of them stood a single human rookie, Private Daniel Cross. He was smaller than most of them, his armor lighter, his body fragile compared to their massive frames. The aliens laughed the moment he entered. Some called him meat. Others whispered, fragile. One of the reptilian soldiers leaned close and hissed, "You will not last 1 hour." The laughter filled the bay, echoing off the steel walls. Daniel said nothing. He kept his eyes sharp, scanning the room, watching how the aliens moved, how they carried their weapons, how they reacted to him. He looked calm, almost too calm, for someone who was surrounded by killers. The aliens thought he was afraid. They thought silence meant weakness. They were wrong. The squad commander, a huge insectoid with 4 arms, clapped its claws together. "Today, we test you." Mixed species squads are to face live combat simulations against rogue raiders. No mercy. No excuses. Survive or be forgotten. The aliens cheered, their voices deep and full of confidence. One whispered, "The human dies first." Another replied, "I will take his rifle when he falls." Daniel heard them but did not react. He adjusted the strap of his rifle, his fingers moving with quiet precision. Every motion was deliberate. Every breath controlled. The dropship roared as it carried them down to the surface. The ground below was nothing but ruins, collapsed buildings, smoke rising from craters, and shadows moving in the streets. Raiders. They were armed, wild, and dangerous, but the aliens feared them little. To the squad, it was just another hunt. To Daniel, it was the moment he had been waiting for. He sat at the back of the dropship, eyes closed, listening to the alien laughter around him. His lips moved silently as he whispered to himself, "Time to stop pretending." The ramp dropped, and chaos erupted. Gunfire lit the streets. Raiders charged with heavy blasters. The alien squad stormed forward, their armor glowing with shields, their weapons spraying fire. Daniel moved with them, his steps light and fast. The aliens barely noticed him. To them, he was already dead weight. They spread out, firing wildly, confident in their strength. But within minutes, the battlefield shifted. The raiders were smarter than expected. They set traps. Explosives tore through walls. 2 alien soldiers fell, their bodies burning in the dust. The squad hesitated, surprised. And then, for the first time, they noticed Daniel. He had not hesitated. While the others shouted and scrambled, he had already taken cover behind rubble. His rifle was steady, his eyes focused. A single shot cracked through the chaos, and a raider dropped dead. Another shot, another kill. His movements were fast, precise, deadly. No wasted bullets. No wasted time. The aliens stared. The rookie they mocked was fighting like a veteran assassin. The insectoid commander roared orders, but even it paused when Daniel surged forward. He moved differently than them. While the aliens relied on brute force, Daniel flowed like water, slipping through gaps, using shadows, using cover. He kicked a raider's weapon aside, slammed his elbow into the attacker's throat, and fired point-blank into another. 3 enemies fell in seconds. The alien beside him blinked in shock. "How?" it whispered, but Daniel was already moving again. The squad began to follow him without realizing it. Every step he took cut a path through the battlefield. He saw traps before they triggered, warning the others with a quick signal. He spotted snipers before they fired. His voice was calm over the comms, short and clear. "Left flank. 2 more on the roof. Grenade incoming, move." The aliens obeyed. For the first time, they weren't laughing. They were listening. The raiders grew desperate. They poured out of the ruins in greater numbers, howling with rage. But Daniel did not falter. He rolled under fire, tossed a grenade, and dropped 5 enemies at once. He used the battlefield itself, collapsed walls, shattered glass, burning wreckage, to his advantage. The aliens were stronger, yes, but Daniel was smarter, faster, deadlier. His training was not just military. It was human. And humans fought wars differently. By the time the last raider fell, silence returned to the ruined streets. Smoke curled into the air. Bodies lay scattered. The alien squad stood in shock, their armor scarred, their pride shattered. And there, standing in the middle of it all, was Daniel Cross. His armor was dirty, his rifle smoking, but his eyes were steady, calm as if nothing had happened. He lowered his weapon and looked at the squad. For the first time, none of them laughed. The insectoid commander approached, its claws clicking nervously. "You hid this. You pretended to be weak." Daniel finally spoke, his voice low but firm. "Sometimes, it's better to let your enemies underestimate you. It makes victory easier." The words cut deep. The aliens, who had mocked him only hours ago, now looked at him with something they had never given before: respect and fear. Back aboard the warship, the story spread fast. A human rookie had walked into live combat and turned a doomed squad into survivors. The laughter was gone now. Whispers replaced it. Whispers of Earth, whispers of humans, whispers of killers hidden behind fragile faces. And in the quiet of the barracks, Daniel sat alone, cleaning his rifle. He looked up once, a faint smile touching his lips. He had stopped pretending. And now the galaxy would learn the truth about humans. Slow to anger, patient to act, but once unleashed, impossible to stop. The battlefield was chaos. Burning wreckage lit the sky as plasma fire streaked across the ruined landscape. Alien raiders swarmed from the hills, their weapons flashing, their war cries echoing like thunder. The training squad of mixed species scrambled for cover, shouting orders, returning fire. Private Daniel Cross moved with them, helmet low, rifle steady, eyes always watching. The aliens still thought he was fragile, a rookie who would hide and survive only by luck. They were wrong. Daniel had trained in silence for years, far away on Earth, in brutal environments designed to break stronger men. He had been chosen for this mission not because he was weak, but because no one suspected how dangerous he truly was. An alien sergeant, a hulking reptilian with armored scales, shouted over the comms, "Human, stay back. Do not die and ruin the squad's record." The others laughed, firing as they advanced. Daniel only nodded. He did not argue. He crouched low, studying the movement of the raiders. They rushed in wild packs, thinking numbers would crush discipline. His calm breathing slowed as he traced their patterns. He knew what was coming before it happened. A squad of raiders broke from the flank, charging straight toward their position. The alien recruits panicked, firing wildly, bolts of plasma missing targets. Daniel didn't panic. He adjusted his rifle, aimed carefully, and fired 3 precise shots. 3 raiders fell instantly, their armored bodies hitting the dirt. The laughter around him stopped for a second. One insectoid alien recruit hissed in disbelief. "Lucky shot." But Daniel did not answer. He had already shifted aim, scanning for the next threat. Explosions tore through the battlefield. Smoke rolled across the ground. The squad regrouped, but fear was clear in their eyes. The raiders were pressing harder, faster. The reptilian sergeant growled, "Hold the line." Yet the aliens were losing ground. Another rush would break them. The insectoid recruit shouted, "The human will slow us down." But when they turned, Daniel was already gone. He had slipped into the smoke. The aliens thought he had run. They cursed him, thinking him a coward. But Daniel had not run. He was hunting. He moved low and silent through the smoke, every step deliberate, every sense focused. He remembered Earth drills in abandoned cities, training that pushed him to survive without rest, without backup, against enemies that never gave mercy. His muscles knew what to do. His mind was calm. He was the ghost in the chaos. The raiders advanced with confidence, roaring as they prepared to crush the squad. Then the first of them fell, throat pierced by a blade. Another turned, and a burst of fire from Daniel's rifle cut him down. Panic spread. The raiders shouted in their strange language, pointing into the smoke. But they couldn't see him. He was there and gone, striking fast, vanishing again. The aliens in his squad heard screams from the raiders, saw shadows moving, but none of them believed it could be the human rookie. When Daniel finally reappeared, he emerged from the smoke covered in dust, his rifle hot, his blade dripping green blood. The raider push had collapsed. The survivors were retreating, shouting in terror, dragging their wounded away. The squad stared at him in silence. Even the reptilian sergeant was stunned. What are you?" he demanded. Daniel reloaded calmly, his voice low and steady. "I'm just a soldier." The insectoid recruit hissed nervously. "Impossible. Humans are soft. Weak. You fight like a predator." Daniel looked at him without expression. He had been told to keep his abilities hidden, to act small until the right moment. But now the truth was out. The sergeant stepped closer, studying him with sharp reptilian eyes. "You tricked us. You let us think you were fragile." Daniel nodded once. That was the point. He turned toward the horizon where the raiders were regrouping. More were coming. He could hear their war horns echoing across the hills. This battle was not over. The squad was shaken. Their pride was wounded. But their survival now depended on the very human they mocked hours ago. The sergeant growled low, then gave the order. "Fine. Human, you lead." Daniel raised his rifle, eyes sharp. He didn't smile, didn't gloat. He had no need. He had only one mission: survive, fight, and win. He checked the position of every squad member, adjusted their cover, gave them fields of fire. His orders were clear, simple, precise. They obeyed without argument. The battlefield thundered again as the raiders launched their second wave. This time, Daniel was ready. He moved first, cutting into their lines with deadly aim. His squad followed, their fear turning into fierce resolve. Every shot, every strike, was now guided by his voice. For the first time, the aliens realized the truth. The human was not weak. He was not fragile. He was something far more dangerous, something they had never faced before. And as the raiders fell one by one, the squad began to understand the terrible mistake the galaxy had made. They had laughed at humanity. But humanity had come prepared. The battle was far from over. But the aliens in Daniel's squad no longer mocked him. Now they feared him. The battlefield was chaos. Smoke covered the ruined city as raider ships fired down from the sky. The squad scattered for cover, each alien shouting orders in their own language. Private Daniel Cross moved with them, quiet, unnoticed, still playing the role of the weak rookie. Blaster fire shook the ground. The raiders were not amateurs, they were killers trained to tear through defenses. The alien squad cursed loudly as one of their own was hit, falling back behind broken walls. Daniel crouched low, his eyes calm, scanning the field. Every movement, every position, every sound, he studied it all with perfect focus. The aliens still thought he was frozen in fear. They were wrong. A huge alien soldier named Korvac growled at him. "Stay down, human. This is no place for you." The others laughed between bursts of gunfire. But Daniel only nodded, lowering his rifle. He wanted them to think he was hiding. He wanted the raiders to ignore him. His hands were steady, but inside his head he was counting, planning, calculating. He remembered the training back on Earth. The drills, the secret missions, the lessons drilled into his bones. He was not just a soldier. He was a weapon waiting to be used. Suddenly, the raiders rushed forward in a wave. Screams echoed as the aliens fired back desperately. One raider climbed over the rubble and charged toward the squad's medic. The medic panicked, fumbling with his weapon. That was the moment Daniel moved. In one smooth motion, he rose from cover and fired 3 perfect shots. Each one hit. The raider fell before he even touched the medic. Silence followed for a second. Every alien in the squad turned their heads. The rookie had just killed faster than any of them. "Lucky shot," one alien muttered, though his voice shook. But Daniel didn't reply. He ducked back into cover, reloading calmly. Inside, he was awake now. The mask of weakness was gone. His heart beat steady, not with fear but with control. He knew they were watching him now, doubting what they saw. He wanted them to doubt. The raiders regrouped and fired again. Explosions tore through the street. Dust rained down. Korvac roared and charged forward with his heavy weapon, spraying fire. Another alien sniper covered him, but missed badly. Daniel's eyes tracked the enemy sniper across the battlefield. He leaned out, aimed, and fired one clean shot. The alien sniper dropped instantly. The squad stared in disbelief. Daniel had done what their best sharpshooter could not. Now the squad whispered among themselves. "Is he really a rookie? How did he shoot like that?" Suspicion grew. Fear grew. But there was no time to ask. The raiders came harder. Their heavy machines rolled out, towering walkers blasting the ground apart. The squad leader shouted, panicking, "Fall back! We can't hold this line." The aliens began retreating, firing wildly. But Daniel did not move. He studied the machines carefully, eyes narrowing. He saw the weak point, hidden under the armor near the legs. He took a deep breath, aimed, and fired again and again. Sparks exploded. One of the walkers collapsed with a thunderous crash. The battlefield shook. The squad froze. No alien among them had managed to take down a walker in seconds. But the human rookie had done it alone. Now, silence filled the comms channel. For the first time, the aliens were not mocking him. They were afraid. The raiders roared with anger, turning their fire on Daniel. Blasts rained around him, but he moved like smoke, low, fast, impossible to hit. He rolled across rubble, firing in short, perfect bursts. Every shot hit. Raiders fell one by one, their attack broken. The squad tried to keep up, but Daniel was already ahead of them, leading the charge. He wasn't following orders anymore. He was showing them how to fight. Korvac shouted over the comms. "What are you?" His voice was not mocking now. It was trembling. Daniel didn't answer. He kept moving, kept killing, until the last raider broke and ran. The battlefield grew quiet, only the sound of burning metal and falling ash remained. The squad gathered slowly, eyes locked on him. The rookie they laughed at was standing tall, his rifle steady, his armor scarred but unbroken. No fear in his face. Only cold calm. None of them spoke at first. They didn't know whether to thank him or fear him. Finally, the squad leader stepped forward, his voice low. "Private Cross, you were hiding this the whole time." Daniel looked at him, expression blank. Then he finally spoke, his voice quiet but sharp as a blade. "I was told to observe, to wait, to see how you fight. Now I've seen enough." The words sent chills through the squad. This wasn't just a rookie. This was something else, something trained, something dangerous. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They thought they were the predators. Now they weren't so sure. Above them, the massive warship hovered, watching everything through its scanners. The commanders who sent Daniel here were seeing it all. And somewhere, in a hidden chamber, human generals were smiling. Their secret was still safe, for now. But for the aliens standing beside Daniel, the truth was already clear. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was something else entirely. And this was only the beginning. The battlefield burned red with smoke and fire. Alien raiders pushed hard against the squad, their weapons cutting the ground like storms of light. Many soldiers ducked behind wreckage, shields trembling under the pressure. The alien veterans cursed, shouted, and fought hard, but in the middle of the chaos Daniel Cross moved differently. He didn't panic. His eyes stayed cold, tracking everything like a hunter. Every time a raider showed his head, Daniel's rifle snapped and the enemy fell. His hands moved with speed, almost faster than the aliens could follow. At first, his squad thought it was luck. "The rookie fires and just happens to hit," one alien muttered. But then it happened again. Then again. Each shot was clean, silent, precise. The raiders were falling too quickly, and everyone began to notice. The arrogant soldier from earlier, a six-eyed brute named Carrick, stopped laughing. He fired his heavy cannon and glanced back at Daniel. For the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. But the battle wasn't easy. More raiders poured in, screaming with savage fury. They were bigger, faster, and carried blades glowing with heat. One rushed straight at Daniel. His squadmates expected him to freeze, but Daniel moved like water. He dropped his rifle, pulled his combat knife, and let the raiders strike past just inches from his chest. Then, one fast slash across the throat. The alien collapsed in shock. Daniel's eyes didn't change. He didn't look proud. He looked focused, almost mechanical. Now the squad couldn't ignore it. "This is no rookie," hissed a winged alien soldier as she took cover beside Daniel. "Where did you learn this?" Daniel didn't answer. His silence only deepened the mystery. The raiders regrouped, sending in armored brutes with shields that glowed like firewalls. The squad struggled, many pinned down. Carrick roared, trying to blast through, but his shots bounced harmlessly. The veterans cursed. It seemed hopeless. But Daniel stepped forward. He scanned the shields, studied their glow, and found the weak point, the tiny corner where the energy flickered. He switched his rifle to single-shot mode, adjusted the scope with calm precision, and fired once. The shield cracked. Another shot, and it shattered. The brute roared in confusion, but Daniel was already moving. He sprinted across the battlefield, sliding low through smoke and sparks. He leapt, driving his knife into the brute's throat. The kill was brutal and clean. The squad gasped. None of them expected a fragile human to charge like that. The battlefield paused for a heartbeat. Even the raiders hesitated. Then chaos returned. Explosions shook the ground. The squad pulled closer, now following Daniel's lead without speaking. He didn't shout orders, but his movements told them everything: where to move, when to fire, how to push forward. The veterans, proud and arrogant just hours ago, now trusted the silent human who moved like a predator. But the raiders were not done. A massive figure stepped onto the field. A war leader covered in black armor, his blade the size of a door. He laughed at the squad, pointing at Daniel. "The small one is yours? Then he dies by my hand." The aliens in the squad looked at Daniel, expecting fear. Instead, Daniel stepped forward calmly. He rolled his shoulders, knife in hand, eyes locked on the giant. "Come on," he whispered, almost too quiet for the others to hear. The duel began fast. The war leader swung his blade with the force of thunder. Daniel dodged, rolled, slid, every move inches from death. The ground cracked where the blade landed, sparks flying. But Daniel's calm never broke. He struck quickly, small cuts on the giant's arms, legs, neck. Death by 1,000 wounds. The squad watched in awe as the rookie danced around a monster 3 times his size. At last, Daniel feinted left, spun right, and drove his knife deep into the war leader's chest. The giant froze, his eyes wide, before falling like a mountain to the dirt. Silence filled the battlefield. Even the raiders froze in disbelief. Then, slowly, they began to retreat. Their leader was dead. The human had killed him. Daniel wiped his blade, standing tall, breathing steady. His squad looked at him as if seeing a ghost. The arrogant laughter was gone. Now there was only respect and fear. Carrick lowered his cannon, muttering, "What are you?" Daniel finally spoke, his voice calm and cold. "I'm just a soldier. A human soldier." The words sank into every mind around him. The aliens had mocked him, called him weak, fragile, a rookie. But now they understood something terrifying. If this was only a human rookie, What were the veterans like? The battlefield grew quiet. Smoke drifted, fires burned, but Daniel's squad now followed him without hesitation. They knew the truth. Humanity wasn't weak. Humanity wasn't fragile. Humanity was something else. Something the galaxy had not yet fully understood. And deep inside, Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The battlefield burned with smoke and fire. Explosions echoed across the ruined city as alien squads pushed forward against the raiders. Blaster fire ripped through walls, screams echoed, and dust filled the air. The alien soldiers moved in groups, shouting commands in their strange tongues, but they barely noticed that the fragile human rookie, Daniel Cross, was not where they expected. They assumed he would hide or freeze. Instead, Daniel was already deep in the fight, moving like a shadow through the rubble. His eyes tracked every sound, every step. He carried his rifle low, conserving his energy, using cover like he had trained all his life. The aliens thought this was a test. Daniel knew it was war. A massive raider tank rolled into the street, its turret turning, cannons glowing with deadly heat. The alien squad panicked. Some dove for cover, others fired wildly, their shots bouncing harmlessly against the heavy armor. "We're finished," one of them cried. Daniel didn't hesitate. He dashed forward, rolling into the shadows of a collapsed building. He pulled a small charge from his pack, something the aliens didn't even know he carried. He crawled under the tank like a ghost, his body pressed against the dirt. The ground shook as the machine moved above him. He attached the charge to a weak spot near its fuel line, whispered, "For Earth," and slid away. Seconds later, the tank exploded in a storm of fire and shrapnel. The aliens stared in silence, their jaws hanging open. The human rookie had destroyed what none of them dared face. But Daniel didn't stop. He saw raider snipers hiding in the ruins, pinning the squad down. While the aliens shouted in fear, Daniel climbed the broken wall, moving silently. His body hugged the stone, his breathing steady. One by one, he picked off the snipers with cold precision, his shots clean and fast. He dropped behind the last one, knife flashing in the smoke, ending the fight without a sound. When he rejoined the squad, the aliens looked at him differently. Their mocking grins were gone, replaced by stunned silence. One alien, a tall reptilian fighter named Var-Rik, growled, "What are you?" His voice was not mocking this time but full of unease. Daniel just reloaded his rifle, his face calm. "Just a soldier." As the squad advanced deeper into the city, the fighting grew worse. Raiders poured out of the ruins like swarms of insects, their weapons firing in every direction. The aliens struggled to hold formation, but Daniel moved like he was born for chaos. He ducked between blasts, dragged wounded fighters to cover, and returned fire with deadly skill. When their communication system went down, Daniel took charge, shouting commands the others instinctively obeyed. "Left flank. Push now. Cover the street. Var-Rik, with me." His voice carried strength, and even the proud alien warriors obeyed. At one point, a massive raider brute, covered in heavy armor and wielding a hammer the size of a car, smashed through the wall. The squad froze in terror. The brute roared, charging toward them. Daniel stepped forward alone. He fired, his shots sparking uselessly against the thick armor. He waited, calm, letting the brute come closer. At the last second, he rolled aside, slid under its legs, and jammed a grenade into the beast's back plating. The explosion tore it apart in a shower of fire. Daniel rose from the smoke, his eyes cold, his hands steady. The aliens stared at him like they were looking at a monster, or a god. For the first time, they understood, this human was not weak. He was something else, something dangerous. The rookie they had mocked was holding them together, saving them again and again. But the battle was far from over. As night fell, the squad reached the enemy's command post. Towers of steel and flame rose from the ruins, guarded by heavy raider forces. The aliens looked broken, their morale gone. "We can't take this," one whispered. "It's suicide." Daniel studied the defenses, his eyes sharp. He didn't speak right away. Finally he said, "We take it. We finish this, or none of us make it back. His voice carried a weight that silenced their fear. Slowly, the aliens nodded. For the first time, they weren't following orders because of rank. They were following Daniel. The squad moved into position, Daniel at the front. They slipped through shadows, cutting down guards with precision. Daniel's every move showed training far beyond what a rookie should know. He moved like a predator, striking fast and vanishing before the enemy could react. The aliens began to mimic him, learning from him in the middle of battle. Together, they pushed deeper into the command post. Then, the alarm blared. Hundreds of raiders poured out of the fortress. The squad was trapped. Blaster fire rained down from every side. Aliens screamed, the ground shook, and Daniel knew this was the moment, the true test. He looked at his squad, saw the fear in their eyes, and whispered to himself, "Time to show them what humans really are." He tightened his grip on his rifle and charged straight into the storm. The battlefield was silent after the storm. Smoke rose from the burned wreckage of raider ships. The ground was black with ash and fire. Alien soldiers stood in shock, their weapons still trembling in their hands. None of them could believe what they had just seen. Private Daniel Cross, the human rookie they mocked only hours ago, had turned into something terrifying. His calm movements, his deadly precision, his fearless eyes. It was unlike anything they had witnessed before. The so-called fragile human had carried them all to survival. Commander Virak, the veteran alien officer who led the training squad, walked toward Daniel. The commander's reptilian face was scarred from decades of war, but even he hesitated before speaking. His deep voice shook slightly. "Human," he said slowly. "What are you?" Daniel stood tall, his combat armor scratched and bloodstained, but his breathing steady. He didn't look like someone who had almost died. He looked like someone who had just woken up. His answer was calm. "I am a soldier. Nothing more. Nothing less." The squad looked at one another. Some were afraid. Some were impressed. Some simply didn't understand. A bird-like alien whispered, "We laughed at him, and he saved us." Another added, "We thought he was weak. He was hiding his strength." The silence was broken when the squad's comlink crackled alive. A voice from orbit came through, the voice of an Imperial general. "Unit 6, report. Casualties." Commander Virak looked at Daniel, then at the others. For the first time in his career, he felt words catch in his throat. He finally replied, "No casualties. Mission successful. The raiders are destroyed, thanks to the human." The channel went quiet for a moment, then the general's voice returned, colder, sharper. "Explain." Virak hesitated. His alien instincts told him the truth was dangerous. If the Empire learned how deadly this human was, they might see him as a threat. But before he could answer, Daniel stepped forward, speaking directly into the comm. His voice was steady, low, but carried across the channel like steel. "Don't worry. I did my duty. That's all you need to know." The channel cut. The squad exchanged nervous glances. They all knew the Empire would not ignore this. They had just seen something that could not be hidden. Daniel wasn't a rookie anymore. He wasn't weak. He wasn't even ordinary. He was proof that humans were far more dangerous than anyone believed. As they regrouped, one of the alien soldiers approached him, a massive insectoid fighter named Kryn who had laughed the loudest earlier. Kryn lowered his head, his armored shell clinking. "Human," he said. "I mocked you. I called you fragile. But today, I owe you my life." Daniel nodded slightly. "You don't owe me anything. Just remember this, never underestimate a human again." Night fell over the battlefield, stars bright above the broken land. The squad rested, but none of them slept. They kept replaying the fight in their minds, watching the moment Daniel moved through enemy fire like it was nothing, when he struck faster than they could even see, when his eyes seemed to burn with something primal. None of them would ever forget it. High above, in the Empire's command ship, reports poured in. Generals and admirals whispered among themselves. The footage from the squad's armor cams was analyzed again and again. The Empire had long considered humanity a minor species, barely worth notice. But this single rookie soldier had shown them something terrifying, that humans were not prey. They were predators. One admiral slammed his clawed hand on the table. This cannot be ignored. If one human rookie is this deadly, what are the veterans like? What are their armies like? Another replied, "We may have made a mistake. Perhaps humanity should never have been allowed into the galaxy." But an older, wiser general shook his head. "No. The mistake is mocking them. The humans are here now, and we must deal with them carefully. Very carefully." Back on the ground, Daniel sat alone, cleaning his weapon. His squad watched him from a distance, still unsure whether to fear him or follow him. Finally, Commander Virac stepped closer. "Private Cross," he said, his voice respectful now, not mocking. "You've changed everything. The Empire will fear you. The galaxy will fear your kind. What happens now?" Daniel looked up, his eyes calm but hard. He strapped his weapon back into place and answered quietly, almost like a promise. Now they learn. Humans don't play games. And we don't bluff." The commander nodded, understanding more than he wanted to admit. Around them, the alien squad realized the truth. The rookie they laughed at was no rookie at all. He was a warning, a glimpse of what humanity really was. And the galaxy would never laugh again. As dawn rose, the squad prepared for extraction. Ships descended from orbit, carrying them back to the Empire's command. But this time, everything felt different. When Daniel stepped onto the ramp, the aliens did not walk ahead of him. They fell in behind, as if some invisible chain of command had shifted. He had not demanded it. He had not asked for respect. But it was his now. For Daniel Cross, the war had only just begun. For the galaxy, a shadow of fear had been born. One rookie had shown them what humanity was capable of. And in the silence of space, whispers spread across fleets and councils, empires and outposts. The whispers all said the same thing. Never laugh at a human again.